Hello, I'm Lee Carroll.
I'd like to invite you to close your eyes and take a moment to settle into a slow and steady breathing. Breathing in and out from your heart. And allow each breath to nourish your heart. And as you feel your heart being nourished, send out a ripple of love to your brain and acknowledge the logic and intellect that we use, and allow a ripple to travel from your brain to your heart, because it is your heart that provides you with wisdom and guidance, and it is always ready to connect with you. And with this connection between the heart, the brain, and the pineal, we create a coherence, a field around us that lets us receive intuition, messages, answers, solutions. And from this space, let us now welcome the loving guidance, wisdom, and messages from Adironda and Kryon.
So it is good day to you, huh? Oh, so very good to see your light, your brightness, your divine presence. We see that you're filling up this room with your light. With that energy, know that everything that is happening is in divine order. We understand right now things are feeling a bit like the vessel Maryland's jacket pattern. Woo, woo, woo. So you're watching it and you're saying, oh, I'm getting sleepy, I'm getting sleepy. But in that capacity, that is the frequency of the world right now. The frequency of the world as is in maintaining that energy of up and down and moving right, left, up, down, right, left, up, down. You don't know which way to turn your face or which way to turn your back. So take a deep breath, dearest beings of light. We must ask you to always remember that divine order is in process. And as you are acknowledging that, we know we've been talking about this for many years, but as you are acknowledging that, you get to see what part you indeed are playing. Because the earth right now is a bit like this bottle of water. Oh, you cannot see it because it is blue water. But when you shake a bottle of water, the water bubbles and moves around and then eventually settles back into its space. So as it settles back into its space, what you are acknowledging, what you are seeing are the bubbles disintegrating and coming back into a place of levelness. Now, it is not like when you shake up a bottle of soda, because that is a man-made device that carbonates all over everything when you pop the lid. But water, as the earth, and the earth is made up of water and rocks and earth, no carbonation necessarily there. But so when it is rearranging itself, it is coming into that place of peace. We asked our vessel Marilyn to draw a card this morning from the affirmations from your soul from Kryon. You don't have that, you need to get it. So with that energy, we asked her to draw this card for you. And she thought, well, this is appropriate. I wonder what this is going to have to do with our message, Take a deep breath, dearest. For when you receive guidance in a random world with lots of possibilities, you get to take a breath in order to receive that message. The divinity within me glows with the internal light of the Creator. I am connected with my higher self, and the peace within me is manifested through my entire being. You understand that, and you understand that energy. And as you understand that energy, should we read it again? The divinity within me glows with the eternal light of the Creator. I am connected with my higher self, and the peace within me is manifested through my entire being. So as that peace is manifested through your entire being, just like the bottle of water, it begins to settle the energy in the field. And if you haven't watched the field, you need to watch it, because that shows you the scientific fact behind that importance of keeping your field in that divine flow. Right now, dearest beings of light, your world may be a bit jangled. It may be a bit fruit basket upset feeling, or like someone has just pulled the tablecloth out and all the things are going up and down and not knowing which way they're going to land. Well, dearest beings of light, this is the earth you're living on. And the promise of God, or source if you prefer, is that divine order is always in process. So no matter what else is happening, even if you have a Fujimoto thing going on in the Gulf Coast and all the hurricanes are meeting there together to talk and communicate their energy, or as you say, the asteroid is coming into right before the election and it may hit the earth right before the election, and how many people are predicting some disastrous thing to happen in the next few months, huh? You are a part of that divine order that is indeed in process. Take a deep breath on that one. You are a part of something much, much larger. You are a part of a frequency that, even though it is shaken up a bit and the bubbles are going all around trying to find their place of uniting, the energy is going to be settling in the next few months. So how would you like it to settle? As a light plurker, play plus work equals plurk, as a light plurker, you can get whatever you ask for. We actually had to remind our vessel Marilyn of that. She does not want me to tell you the story, but that never stopped us. So what we, as she was writing in her journal today, she was writing about all the things she did not care for happening right now in her life, because all these health things and all that thing and all that other thing and all that other energy. And we had to say, stop it. That is the quote, stop it. What are you grateful for? Huh? Do you know? What are you grateful for? And we asked her to go back to something that we've told her many years ago, to write down 5 things that she's grateful for before breakfast, which was easy for her since she eats her breakfast around 11, even though she gets up at 5. So we ask you, a part of your purpose in this world is to share your gratitude. So we ask you to return to something that we have told you many times before. Write down 5 things that you are grateful for before your breakfast, and see how those things begin manifesting more so in your world. You see, it is still your purchase order when you say, I am so thankful for this aspect. I am so thankful for this energy. I'm so thankful that the sun is shining, the birds are singing. Yes, she has had a hummingbird. Actually, she's only had one hummingbird all summer long. And now all of a sudden there are 5 hummingbirds. So that is significant. We may tell you later what the meaning of the hummingbird is for her and see if it applies to you. But in that energy, we ask you to look for the signs of positivity in your world. Look for the signs of you, dearest being of light, living your life and your purpose on point to recreate that bliss that you were here to experience, that you are here to experience, and to know, dearest being of light, that the planet is supporting you. The Ascended Masters are supporting you. Kryon, our dear friend, is supporting you. We are with all that support, how can you feel unsupported? So, dearest beings of light, we simply ask you to take a deep breath, get over yourself, get over all those complaint factors, because we don't think that's really what you want more of. And think that every single time you shake up your bottle of water, as it settles, that is a metaphor for the planet settling. Now we see hundreds of people around the planet shaking their bottle of water and looking at it. Good. Because what that happens is it goes into your soul. It goes into the fact that you are the divine creator. Huh? You are that essence. So no matter whether there's typhoons or hurricanes meeting and having fun in the Gulf of Mexico, or whether there's an asteroid coming to the planet before the election, or no matter what, all is worthy and right with your soul. All is working in that capacity of the next connected step for humanity. So what is your purpose and part to play there? That is what we ask you. We will talk more about that a bit later. But for now, we love you so much. For we see you all around the world shaking your bottles of water and watching it come back into a place of stillness and love. We see you. We know you. And we bid you namaste. Namaste.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. We have always come to you for 31 years, looking at you in ways that you never look at yourself. We've told you repeatedly that everything you have been told about that which is the creative source, about God, about spirit, whatever, what you want to call it, everything you've been told is only a fraction of the grandness that truly is there. And some of the things that you've been told make us fall and weep. This channel I'm going to call the true heritage of the human being. I'm not going to talk about your lineage, that's later, but your heritage. And there's so much to say, and you've heard part of it before, but let this one be more controversial than ever. Of course, that's why some of you are tuned in. What if it isn't controversy because of different ideas? What if the controversy is between what you were told and what is being discovered? That always is good for controversy. Millions of human beings are starting to awaken to a new idea. And the new idea is that they are grander than they were told in so many ways. And that has to do specifically with your heritage. Where'd you come from? What happened when you got here? What's going on right now? The stories you're told about all of these things, dear ones, are stories that are not reflective of the grandness, the love, the benevolence, the compassion of your soul, of who you are, of the name that you have in light on the other side of the veil. It's not reflective of the grand party that you will receive upon the death of your corporeal self, where your soul soars into that area where is home, where you belong, and where you came from. Where all the ideas of made in his image start to manifest as truth. Your lineage is one thing. Your heritage is divine. There's a difference. Your lineage is from the stars. Your heritage is divine. There is such a dysfunctional story that you have been told. It creates a picture of the greatest love in the universe doing something that is more dysfunctional than a human father would do. And yet that's the story that you now cling to. This is where the controversy comes. It always does. Love is love, dear ones. It's the same thing that you have for one another that is so precious and so perfect. The love that you would have for God, so precious, so perfect. And we've told you before that you cannot imagine how big love is and how much goes into the creation of the human being. We've told you before that love is the glue between that which is the cells of your body. That's a metaphor that means you can't escape the love that went into making you, to putting you here, to giving you a grand soul. And yet you're told that your heritage is darkness. You've been told you're born into darkness, that you don't even deserve to be here, and somehow you got to claw your way through the mud in order to find some truth. And that truth will be then only from those who have some organizations who wish to give it to you. And that the human being can indeed crawl through that and be worthy then of having the love of God. But up to that point, nothing. You're nothing. You're born into that horribleness, they say. Does that sound right to you? I've said this before. If you are a loving parent, and let's just say you have a big family, and you see these brothers and these sisters and you love them dearly, and you see all that is here with your family, you know how much you love your sons and your daughters and those who are there, your children. There's no grander love than the parent for the child. And let's say that one of them does not behave. And you say, well, therefore, because one of them did not behave, all of them will be punished. And if the rest of them go, well, wait a minute, we didn't do that, and say, it doesn't matter, one of you did. Therefore, you're all doomed. How does that sound? Parent, And you'd say, well, that's not the way parenting works, and that we love our children. And you're right. That would be one of the most dysfunctional things you can imagine. And yet you then place it upon the creator of the universe, the creator of you, the creator of your soul, the one who loves you more than anything. That's the story. I would like to give you a grander truth. Your heritage is divine. You are born magnificent on this planet, and you get free choice to do whatever you wish to with the energy. If you want to go into the dirt, you can. If you want to go into the sky, you can. This is the free choice of your soul on this planet, and is the test, if you want to call it that is at hand. Your heritage is grand. Every mother knows this at some level, no matter what you were taught, no matter what your religion. Can you imagine, mother, looking into the eyes of your infant for the first time ever? First time that infant opens its eyes and looks into yours, what do you feel? It's indescribable, isn't it? And so what are your next words? Welcome to Earth. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to punish you now. That's what you're taught. That, dear ones, is dysfunction. The truth is so much better. You can still experience the love of God in any way that you've been taught that God loves you. But I will tell you, that love is unconditional. Unconditional means you're born magnificent, no matter what anyone else has done in the past. And even that, no matter what you do, it's unconditional. The parables have said it even in the prodigal son. The parables are all metaphors for the way spirit works. And if you take a look at that one, it doesn't matter what one son does. When they get to that place where they go home, they both get the same party. Did you get that? You don't punish them both. You don't reward them both. You get a party, a celebration of them coming home. That is the metaphor. I've said it before. What is your reality? You think this is real? You live in 4 dimensions. 4. And that's all you see, and that's your reality, and that's what you walk around in. But there are hundreds of dimensions. Many of them, they're very, very much different than this one. Not linear. Even your science has discovered almost 30 of them. What if you suddenly lived in all of them instead of the limited 3 or 4 you're in? What would your reality be then? You could be in several places at the same time, by the way. That's what multidimensional things are and can be. Time changes. All things change. Then what is your reality, dear ones? You think the things that you are walking around in now are real? The things that you've been told are absolute? And even the divine things that you have believed are the way it works? These are all a children's story and experience because you live in only a fraction of the reality of physics, of God. God is the master physicist, creating all these things for you to experience. Your magnificence is that heritage that you have. It's controversial only because in a lower energy, it's all you had to work with, what you were told. You want controversy? Here it comes. What's going on right now, you've expected, and it had a name. You called it the second coming. It is. But it wasn't of a master. It's of the master's attributes. That's the second coming, always a metaphor. When you pass through that marker of 2012, in comes all of the attributes of the masters of this planet, coming in to change that which is your reality and your substance and your awakening to your grandness. All the love and the compassion of that one that you expected coming back to so many of you is here. Can't you feel it? You're sitting around waiting for something linear? You want the skies to part and the angels to pop in? What if that was all a metaphor for the incredible love of the Creator now coming to this planet in a way it never did before? Not really. And you start awakening into that area where you start to realize the love and the benevolence and the compassion, and things start changing. You start not tolerating some of the things you did before, and the darkness starts to go away, and you start changing your minds about your society and what will work and what won't work, and things that should be changed now instead of just saying they're going to be changed and over. That's what's going on if you didn't know it. That's what's happening right now on your planet. Some would say it's an intolerance. It is. Intolerance of the dark things that have been here before this second coming. The coming that you created by passing this marker that all the indigenous knew about. It's a worldwide event. Your heritage, and you're starting to wake up to it. That's why I started the healing circle. To let you see it, to put you in the middle of it, to expose your grandness. And those circles are coming every week, where you can sit there and absorb a new energy coming from a new dimensionality, coming from your earned heritage. Magnificent. You always have been. And it's time to start taking that knowledge and seeing that is the light of the world. It is you awakening to what was taught by the masters and is here to discover. The heritage of the human being is here. And so it is. Hello, I'm Lee Carroll. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The element that is studied today is water. And we'll just tell you that that is water is life. And if there's any kind of a metaphor that would say, what does the element of water mean metaphorically to the human being? It is life itself. Life. You've had that which is the soul, you've had that which is consciousness, but life, how do you weigh the importance of that element? But beyond that, dear ones, you've already discovered that water in crystallized form will show the effect of love and compassion, consciousness. You already know that. There are those in this room who know about that which is the energies that are esoteric of the human being. Energies that were known from the ancients and processes that are used today, taking advantage of them, that Western medicine is just now discovering. So you also know the power of consciousness and how it changes the energies, how energies can be then altered by the way a human being thinks about themselves. There are those who use energy work who have discovered a long time ago that there are human beings who can sit and endure it and have no change, and then there are human beings who can sit and accept it and embrace it, that will be healed. So what does that tell you about the meridians? Do they just sit there and do their thing, or are they like antennas that pick up the intent and the consciousness of the human being, amplify it, and go into the places that are designed for them to go into, and affect that which is at the cellular level, life itself, the water? Every process you can think of in this room that you have done or you may be an expert in seems to also know who you are when you do it. It's almost like it tunes in to the human being who is part of it all. If you go away with nothing from this series, I want you to remember this one thing. You are powerful. More than just powerful. You are selectively powerful. That is to say, you can design who you are. You can design the diseases you catch and heal. And how you think and what you perceive will lay upon you like a book. Like you can open it and read who you are. I'm afraid of this. I'll catch this. Or I'm going to survive no matter what because I will not catch this. I will not do this. This will not attach itself to me. I am a healthy person. My cells all agree. They cooperate. I know who I am. They know who I am. Which book is yours? No time in history is this more prevalent and more exciting than now. More is happening than you know. The shift that you have gone through at 2012 starts to move so many things, and it is incremental. So slow is it you may not even understand that it's moving. You'll have new processes and new ways to measure them. You'll start to see that which is the body's energy itself start to cooperate with the energies of the consciousness of the human being who is using them. You'll start to see something we've told you before, and that is a move away from that which you've had, which you call allopathic. That there will be no more cures as you think of them, but more like healings and reversals as you design them. Instead of taking a pill that then is going to change some chemistry and at the same time perhaps have side effects, there's going to be a purity of consciousness imbued into whatever device you think, if any at all, put inside the human being, esoterically perhaps with consciousness or otherwise, and the body will recognize it. What do you call homeopathy? Is it a pill? No. It's a signal. The difference should be obvious. Homeopathy is not a drug. It's a signal. It's a signal that is designed to talk to that which is your innate. Your body sees the design, the message is complete, and the healing begins. What does the homeopathy tincture carry that is so remarkable? And why would a signal demand the body do something? And the answer is that with the signal that tells the body what to do, there is the instruction from the boss. That's you, because you are the one who put it under your tongue. And it was your intent imbued upon that which is the tincture. You're the boss talking to yourselves in a way perhaps that the ancients always knew about. When you do acupuncture, what are you really doing? Is the energy in the meridians, in the needles, in the esoterics of it? Or is it a signal? Using that which is the energies. And the signal is instructions. I know you're there, this is the meridian, this is what it does, and it comes from the intent of the one that is able to sit through it and say, it is my body, this is what I want. All of these messages being given to the human body, right to the life source, right to the water. What do you know about water? You can restructure it with consciousness. What do you know about the human bonding of the water to life itself? You can change it with consciousness. What have you already discovered through the ancients' processes that I've just mentioned? Healing, instructions to the body. I want you to start seeing something, that there are more of these than you know. The affirmations that you're now speaking out loud is part of the issue of bringing it out and letting the ears hear it, let it go into the consciousness and affect who you are. Meditation itself is so strong now because it's the human being with the intent giving instructions, not just energies, not just prayers. Do you see the difference between praying for something and instructing? Is it possible you can instruct the planet? Is it possible you can instruct yourselves? With all of this, do you think perhaps you could increase your lifespan? Stop aging to the degree that you are. A body ages because it doesn't have instructions. Are you listening to me? The body ages because it does not have instructions. You'll say, this is silly. The body ages naturally because of the way it rejuvenates or does not, because of the telomeres shortening, because of this and that. And I'll tell you, dear ones, it will do what it does if you just sit there and watch it. And that's the default of the way a body works without instructions. But when you start instructing it, then you give it the blueprint of how it reproduces and how it regenerates and how it chases away the inappropriate things. I'm telling you, you're in control. No more than any time in history, you are in control now. It's a greater way than you think. There's more going to be given. But I'll tell you this, I want you to look to the ancients and your ancestors. They had things that you've thrown away. Wisdom that you do not necessarily want to look up and read. Ways of getting along. Old adages and sayings that are so profound that you've cast away on the floor. Ceremonies that worked because the ones who did the ceremony were of like mind and understood what they were doing. Kryon, are you saying we should do ceremony? Yes, you should do it in your own way, in a modern way perhaps, maybe even at the office. Do you think something like that is possible? And the answer is yes. When human beings discover something that works, they'll do it and ask questions later. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. Compassion in the workplace. This is what's going on in so many places around this planet that is unreported, that you don't know about. It will be years before the news will ever pick that story up. Not enough drama, you'd say. And yet it is the most dramatic thing that's happening on this planet. And it will eventually create compassion and peace where there wasn't peace, negotiation between countries that looks far different than it ever did before. That's coming. And for now, we say to you, dear ones, that you are needed to remain peaceful for what you see. to be better knowing and have better knowingness and consciousness and things that would frighten other people, and you know better. And you would say, this is not what it seems. Be peaceful. For your balance will then affect the others around you. And then in the end, they will come to you and say, you were right. Perhaps I should listen more. Perhaps I should look up that which is my ancestry and listen to them more. Perhaps I had to research what they believed and listen to that more. That's enough for now. And so it is. Of magnetic service. You study air, the fourth element. Here's another element which seems to be invisible. You can see it clearly. The wind carries it. It is the wind. But in general, it is something that is precious to you. You need it for life. Even more than water. You need it constantly, every moment. And there's an alliance in air with Gaia. If you would look at the metaphor in the human body, what would air be to you in this esoteric metaphor? Let's call it your silent life friend. Something that is invisible, something you take for granted, something you need every moment of every day. And when it's gone, you're aware of it, and you cannot survive. My partner today speaks of things that are hidden. They are hidden in history. And the more you learn about them, the more you know about the magnificence of not only yourselves, but of your ancestry. We told you that on this planet today, that the wisdom keepers, which I will say are the ancients with a capital A, they have that which is missing in the Western world. They carry the wisdom from the past. And the indigenous know it. And that is why the indigenous honor the ancestors, listen to the ancestors, and have stories passed down from them that they continue to teach to their children. It's a wise culture that will take the ancients and make it a part of the teaching of the little ones. And that is not what you've done. What if you could extend this? Who were the ancients before the ancients? And that is the study of the stars. The ones in the galaxy before you. Is it possible that their wisdom is also in you? And then you'd have to ask the question, well, where did you really come from? Is it possible that you, as a human soul, are an extension of what has been before Earth had life? And if that's the case, do you have wisdom beyond the planet that you could pull in and help what's going on now? That invisible friend called air is the ancient wisdom you carry. What if you could pull upon this right now? I would like to tell you something, dear ones. Many in this room have. The ones listening to this in the future will begin this. The very wisdom that I am talking about, this invisible friend you have, is yourself in your own Akash. That, combined with what you would call the creative source, is the secret for peace on earth. You are starting to discover energy beyond that which you would say is the energy you would need to live. This is energy within the human body. These are specific energies that have always been here for your humanness and the biology that you had before you ever came here. If I told you that the energies of the creative source and your body were the same for other life forms all over this galaxy, would you question that? Would you say, well, the other life forms probably were not humanoid? Yes, they were. Other life forms were probably not like us? Yes, they were. And we'll say it again. When you meet them someday, they may look a lot like you. What did you learn that was not from Earth, that you pull in right now in your Akash, and you intuitively are awakening to something that's from the stars? Now, what would that look like? I'll tell you. The astrologers are awakening to quantum astrology. The homeopathists are awakening to esoteric multidimensional homeopathy, energies beyond what they thought. Some of the most ancient and understood known facilitations are starting to have multidimensional attributes. That is an awakening from the stars. You didn't have it until now, and your Akash is starting to give it to you. This is your best friend. Air is so interesting. Did you know that right now, this particular group, where you are on the planet, is one of the freshest places you can be, with the purest air you could have? The reason? You study in school photosynthesis. You understand the air and carbon dioxide exchange. You understand that Gaia, the trees, are giving you the oxygen that you need for life. You understand that you give them back something they need. But did anyone ever tell you where most of the oxygen on the planet is produced? And if you would say, well, it has to be the forests, you'd be wrong. They're the smallest things that exist, the lichen. All of the moss, the rainforests, they are producing more oxygen than the trees. Therefore, you are in the right place at the right time to go outside while you can and breathe some of the purest oxygen that is being manufactured by your best friend, Gaia. You have another best friend in this metaphor, and it is your Akash. It is giving you the life force that will create something very special on this planet. New information for new health using the energy meridians of the body, and so much more. So much more. Energy of the human body will be the secret for longevity and healing someday, more than anything that you have today. Dear ones, there is so much more than you recognize within yourselves that you've never been taught. I want you to leave this place thinking about this. Surrounding you right now, multicolored universe of energies that have your name on it, that walk with you in that which you call your Merkaba, carried partially by you, your biology, your DNA, and even your soul, all mixed together to be something divine, beyond that which reality which you understand, and is the absolute secret of health and life. This is why, as you discover these things in the future, you won't overpopulate yourselves. You'll have wisdom to know what works and what does not. A whole different way of producing food, electricity, and water. A new paradigm of living for the planet will wipe out all of the fears that you currently have in 3D. You don't know what you don't know. If you can hold this vision and think positively, this positive feeling will carry over even into your next life. And when you're born, your akash will ring with it, that there's hope, you're here for a reason, and you don't have to suffer. The new generation on this planet is the key to everything that's going to take place. And as time goes on, you will be the new generation. Think of it. And so it is. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. I state things that I have stated before for the new ones. In an older energy, channeling looked different. And the reason is because it was an older energy. There was a lot more things to slog through for a human to come to a place where literally they could reflect to the other side of the veil, step away, step aside, and get a pure message. Sometimes it took a long time, an adjustment literally of the biology, to get to a place where there was a pure meditative state, special breathing. And what you see now is instant. And the answer to why would that be is multifold. It depends upon the individual, but the reason is because there is no more black and white, they and them and you and you. It's a meld. I asked my partner years ago if he was ready for the next step, and he said yes, and this step was the meld. I told him he was playing church with Kryon, and he asked me, what was that? And I told him it's where you report to the chair, and you dress different. And in comes the Kryon, and when it's over, you get out of the chair and change your clothes. And he never thought of that. And I said, perhaps it's time to carry that which is both of us with you all your life. And that's what you see today. And it doesn't stop there. When we've told you anyone can channel, this is the meld we speak of, starting with an intuitive feeling and graduating to conversation. It's the meld of God inside and the human being. The basic element of the creation story is still with you. God inside. I want to go through a lineage of some questions. Not many. Questions that we have talked about before, but not in 2018. So this will be the first time we have taken these questions and elaborated on them for this year. But unlike some of the other years where we talk about these questions, the answers will reflect something totally different. There is a new paradigm before you. Even within the questions you ask in the chair is the revelation of a bias. And the bias is of an older energy where you truly don't yet understand where it's going, where you've gone, or what is next. So let this be the first question in a channel that we will then entitle Odd Answers. The question is this: Kryon, what's next? You've talked about what is, talked about all of this shift. What's next? Another surprise, perhaps. What's next? Here's my answer. I want you to go back with me and interview perhaps your grandparents or your great-grandparents, depending upon how old you are. They're embroiled in the second war of the earth. Everyone's at war. What is the main question they would ask? What's next? Go to the ones at the end of that war. If they survived. And at the very end, when everything is in ruins and shambles and the earth looks like it's headed for who knows what will they ask? What's next? Go 20, 30 years more in the middle of the Cold War, 50,000 nuclear weapons all pointed at one another. And there you are asking, what's next? And here you are asking the same thing. Here's the answer. Stop asking the question. Here's why. The training in the old energy is profound, and you don't even know you've been trained. You fear the future. You don't want unexpected things. If you were one of those young men to join an organization where you camped out a lot, the motto was, be prepared. In that very statement, you have to look at why. Because if you're not, you might perish. If you're not prepared, bad things will happen. It's built in to the human consciousness that around the corner is trouble. Did you ever think this? Did you ever analyze the question, what's next? It's always asked in frustration, always. What if we told you this? What's next? You're going to meet somebody who's going to change your life. What would you do? I'll tell you what you'd do. You'd mess it up. Too much information. The new human doesn't ask what's next, because that is an old question based in fear. The question now is not a question at all. It's a statement. I'm not afraid of the future. Whatever happens next will be most benevolent for myself. I can hardly wait. I will expect good things, because that will reflect my magnificence. That's who you are. Not one who would cower and go, I don't know. What's next? That's an odd answer, isn't it? Get out of that paradigm that asks that question. It's another one that we hear. It's hard to be positive, Kryon, when all around me is turmoil. Bad things. It's hard to be positive. I'm trying my best to think positive, to be positive, all of these things that you've been talking about. But everything I see around me does not enforce that things are getting better. How can I be more positive, Kryon? Well, let's ask the caterpillar. Like we have in so many channels. Here is the caterpillar. It's a worm crawling on the ground. And he begins a process, much like you. His is much shorter, but much like you. And you start interviewing and you're saying, you know what's ahead is going to be a miracle. You won't recognize yourself. You won't even be worm-like. And I won't tell you because you wouldn't believe it. And the caterpillar says, you know, I'm shutting down. I'm about ready to crawl in my coffin. And you're telling me things are going to get really good. And he says, yes, you have no idea what's going to happen. As the caterpillar crawls into what he thinks is his coffin, and it closes. And he goes into that metamorphosis that you are going through. And if you told him that he can leave the ground and fly above the trees and be one of the most beautiful creatures on earth, would he have believed it? Would the worm have believed it as he crawled into this thing that he didn't understand? And the answer is there's no way you'd have ever convinced the worm that he'd be a butterfly. No, you can't think positive in the middle of a turmoil, because you're trained that the turmoil means danger and death. Anytime there is changes of this kind, whether it's in your economy or your politics, anything, internationally, anything you see is trouble. That's where you go with it. Anything you see is trouble. Instead of somehow, with an elegance of maturity, and you say, I pull on my Akash to remember something, the prophecies, perhaps on the other planets. This is the beginning of an amazing metamorphosis of humanity. And in this time, it will appear as though there is great death, trouble, inappropriateness, as the darkness tries to take back what is lost. The battle is at hand before the sun comes out. That's the answer. And it's an odd answer of how can I be more positive? Through understanding of what you may be going through. Kryon, I want to help others. I don't know how am I supposed to help others. Lots have changed here. That's what I want to do with my life. I want to help others. Question 3. Now, this one is going to have the same answer as it always has been. Only it's more profound now than ever before. Ever before. And it involves processes that didn't even exist before 2012. How can you help others? What's the best way? By taking care of yourself. By growing into a compassionate human being that becomes multidimensional, where your very thoughts can posture energy for others across the planet. The teaching of today was about the power of consciousness and how science is now seeing it as a player on the field of physics. Consciousness can change reality. And here you sit asking how you can help others, not understanding that the tool is before you. The greater you grow yourself and understand who you are and start relaxing in the arms of spirit and stop fearing and stop worrying and all these things, the more attractive you become to others. Those next to you in the family will see it and ask about it. Those you don't know in troubled places will receive your energy because you can send them things that'll make them peaceful so they can make decisions better for themselves. There's always free choice. But what you can do is posture the energy around somebody in sorrow so they can understanding that God is there and they're being taken care of, and it's all right to grieve as they are loved instead of being on the edge of life itself. Instead of being despondent, perhaps even suicidal, you can send energy to cocoon them with love, understanding, compassion. And in that cocoon, they will make other decisions that are more reasonable because they'll feel loved, understood, and become more peaceful with who they are and the situation they're in. I hope I gave you that correctly. How can I help others? Take care of yourself. Don't put a name on the others that you want to help. But Kryon, I've got a sister here and a brother here, and I've got this and that. Take care of yourself. They will know it. They will feel it. Your compassion goes everywhere. That's the best answer and will always be the answer in this, the new energy. Question 4. How can I get out of fear? Kryon, I'm trying my best. I'm always afraid. I'm always afraid. And whatever you've said in the past, it's not enough. How can I get out of fear? And the answer is to understand why you're in it. I didn't just give you a protocol, did I? I didn't give you an exercise, did I? I didn't give you some facts you should know about getting out of fear, really, did I? I said, you can get out of fear by knowing what caused it. And the one in fear will say, what do you mean, what caused it? It's human nature, I'm in fear. No, it isn't. I will tell you why. You were trained to be in fear. Trained from birth. Because older energy always sees change as bad. All change equals death or worse. The end of a civilization, perhaps. Massive change on the planet is frightening because you were trained that it would be. And some of the training comes from spiritual systems who say you were born dirty and then it gets worse. Other fear is trained from parents who say, be careful, be careful. Watch for this, watch for that. Because when you don't know what you don't know, it's going to be bad. That's another paradigm shift, isn't it? How to get out of fear? I want you to understand that that is a bias. Being afraid is a bias. A high consciousness human being is not fearful. They're circumspect. They got their feelers out for the energy of tomorrow, today. They move with the energy that they feel and sense through intuition and, yes, channeling. The human being will feature that kind of channeling for themselves, to know where to go, when to go, what it means. And in none of those places will they state, I am afraid, because that comes from biased training. It always says, fear what you don't know. I'll tell you, one of the biggest changes, dear ones, is this. The light that you carry today is like a searchlight. The light that you carry today is like a lighthouse. It's so brilliant, so bright, that when you walk into the dark, there is no darkness. It cannot exist because of you. There is no walking into the darkness when you have a light that's so bright the darkness will flee. You illuminate your path before you. You cannot ask anymore, why do I fear, when you have the light? You can't ask what's around the corner when you can see it. This is a new paradigm. That was the answer to question 4. An odd answer to a basic three-dimensional old energy question. Number 5. When's it going to improve? I'm waiting. I've been waiting a long time. Dear human, it's an odd, very odd situation that humans have. There is an improvement at your feet, around you, in your culture, surrounding you, on your news, in your life, around others, but it's not fast and furious. It's incremental. And here's the other bias. Unless I can see sweeping change, there is no change. You have to wait 50 years and look backward to say, yeah, look, it changed. But instead, what you see on the news that I said would take place, where integrity is starting to raise its head in dark places, that's Kryon 101. Where systems are starting to change because they care about humanity. That's Kryon 101. That's changing. Amidst all of the destruction, the death, the unbalance that you see, look at what it then pushes, the envelope of integrity starting to move, shift. All of this, you're looking at it. And then you raise your hand and say, well, when's it going to change? Again, the bias is not fast enough, Kryon. That is a human issue, dear ones. You can make these changes as fast as you want, humanity. You are on a fast track and you don't even know it. This is how long it takes cultures to shift and change. I'll make a statement that I haven't made. You're above the curve. Other civilizations, it took a lot longer. You're starting to see it and realize it and move with it. That's scary, because now the change that you see, incremental as it might be, causes other things to move around, and that scares you. When the darkness comes out and rattles its saber at you, what it's saying is this: there's too much light here. If I rattle the saber a little further and harder, it'll make people afraid. It'll stop the light. Well, it didn't, and it hasn't so far. Again, we'll say, 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. This is learning. Dark and light doesn't then shift automatically into the light, and the earth then is different than it used to be yesterday. It takes a generation, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. But you get to start seeing it, and you are. That was the answer to number 5, which happens to be the numerological equivalent of change. If you go back and you study the messages of Kryon and start analyzing how Kryon does what Kryon does, there are discoveries within discoveries. I lay these things out so someday the study will reveal things to you. More than not, when I start giving groups of things, they're a group of 6. I've just revealed a secret. Not even that, those who study Kryon have come up with that. The lists often are 6. And that is because the 6 often represents harmony, perfectness, that which is God in a human. And it brings us then to the last question, the 6th one. What is a tool we can use today? A tool that perhaps we don't know about. A tool that is new since 2012. A tool of consciousness that can make things happen for ourselves, for others, for the planet, and accelerate the shift into light. So I'll tell you, it's a tool that you don't believe in. It's a tool that is coming. It's a tool that I've talked about before. It's a tool that is unbelievable because of your reality bias when you ask the questions 1 through 5. The tool is this: your consciousness creates reality. And whatever it is that you wish to create is creatable through a consciousness that is pure, compassionate, and expects the benevolence that it deserves. This is so powerful, like never on the planet before, that someday it will be common. As the field starts to show itself more, and the benevolence of a harmonious physics starts to reveal itself more, you'll understand what coherence really is. It's a tool of new consciousness. If you didn't understand what I just said, it's because You don't know it yet. I've just given you something. It's coming. So powerful are you that the elusiveness of the word, even consciousness, can become solidified, understood, workable, and what you think you can create. And because the human being will start to think differently, the creation will be harmony. And eventually, through consciousness, listen, you will create a civilization that will never harm itself. It will be abhorrent. It will not be benevolent. It will not be compassionate. It will be barbaric. And this is the new tool that will create that forced civilization of no more war. And that will be the beginning of a graduate planet. It's not that far away. Kryon, I wish I saw it now. I wish I could see it now. Yes, you do. Dear human being with a soft heart and compassion, love for others, yes, you do. And that is the seed that you're going to plant that's going to create it in others. Don't worry. You'll be here to see it, all of you. Old souls, almost each one, almost. You're coming back. You'll see it. In this graduate time, reincarnation is different. I've told you this. I don't want you to fear it. I don't want you to even think about it. Death has no sting. You'll be back smarter than you were, wiser than you were, healthier than you were, living longer lives. That's in the future. Regardless of what you think is happening on this planet, as the caterpillar climbs into what he thinks is his coffin, the end of everything may just be the beginning of flight, of life, of beauty, of soaring to the clouds. Understand these things this day. You deserve it. It's the magnificence of who you are and God inside. And so it is.